Hi everybody, welcome to my kitchen. Today I have an amazing cranberry walnut bread recipe for y'all. I think you're gonna love it. So I'm gonna be making mine in my bread maker, but like I always tell you, if you don't have a bread maker, you can still use this recipe. You just need to either do it in a mixer, knead it in a mixer, or knead it by hand, and then let it rise and put it in a bread pan and bake it in your oven. So don't think you can't use this recipe if you don't have a bread maker, but if you do, that makes it even easier. So let's go ahead and get started. I think you're gonna love this recipe. So the first thing we have to do is a little prep work, and I decided that I wanted to cut my cranberries in half so they wouldn't be so big in the bread. But this is definitely not something that you have to do. You can leave them whole if you want to. I'm using frozen cranberries. You can use frozen or fresh, but if you use frozen, you need to make sure that you let them thaw first and then drain any water off of them, and even take like a little paper towel or something and kind of blot them and get them dry. If your berries are too wet, they're going to add too much moisture to your bread, and you don't want that to happen. Now the next prep work that we need to do is get our walnuts chopped up pretty small, and then we need some orange zest. So I zested a whole orange to get enough zest for this recipe, because you're going to need a few teaspoons full. And when you zest your orange, be sure that you really only go on the very surface. You don't want to dig down in there and get any of the white part, because that will make your bread taste bitter. So you just want to get those nice edges. And I bought organic oranges, because if I'm going to be using the peeling of the orange, I definitely want to use organic. So, you know, that's up to you, but I definitely got organic oranges and got the zest from them. Now I wanted to use some whole wheat flour in my bread, so that was the next step, was to mill a little flour. I'm using hard white wheat berries in here and getting some freshly milled flour. I'll be using this freshly milled hard white wheat along with some high protein bread flour to make this bread. And I'm going to be sure and put the recipe in the description box for you, so that you will have all the amounts of everything that I used. Let's see what this flour looks like. And there it is, all ready to go in the bread. Okay, so now it's time to get started. So I like to put some oil inside of my little paddle and right on that metal rod that this paddle sits on, because I find that that helps it to come off and not get stuck on there quite so bad. And since this recipe doesn't have any oil in it, I decided to try this whole dipping method, and it worked really well. So I think that's going to be a method that I'm going to continue to do every time. So now we're going to start adding the ingredients, and I did heat my water up just a little bit because it's pretty cool in my house, and my butter here is at room temperature, but it's still a little bit cool. So I definitely wanted to put it in a little bit of warmer water. You don't want to get your water too hot though, because you don't want to kill your yeast with water that's too hot. So just a little bit warm. And then we're going to get all this butter added in here. Next, we're going to add that orange zest. I just decided to add all of these, like the orange zest and the cranberries, into the water, because I thought that it would work better that way. It may work fine to do them at the end with the flour and that stuff, but I went ahead and added mine into the water, and it did work out really well. So here goes our cranberries. And then next, I'm going to be adding, this is the bread flour, and then I'm going to add that whole wheat flour in there also. I feel like the whole wheat just gives it a little bit more depth of flavor, a little bit more texture, and so I really like it. Now this is some nutmeg, some salt, and then some sugar, and then the bread machine yeast. Now, the other thing we have to put in here are the walnuts, but I am going to wait until my machine beeps to add my walnuts. If you have a machine that has the nut dispenser, you can definitely go ahead and put them in there now and let your machine dispense them. But I'm just going to wait and put mine in. My machine will tell me when it's time, and that is when I'm going to go ahead and put them in. Okay, so we got it going. First, it's going to mix. And then it's going to start kneading. And look how pretty that pink color is. Unfortunately, it won't look like that after it bakes, but I sure do think it looks pretty now. Okay, so it's finished kneading and now it is going to start rising. And I decided that I thought it might be a good idea to kind of decorate the top of the bread a little bit with some whole cranberries and some bigger pieces of nuts. So that's what I did. And I did this right at the start of the rising part, as soon as it was finished kneading. Okay, so you can see that it's risen all the way up to the top of the pan, and the cycle is fixing to change to the bake cycle. Oh, and here it is. It's finished already. That was quick. It really took about an hour to bake. But here is the finished product, and you can see that it's not pink like it looked like it was going to be. But this bread is really good. It's got a really a lot of flavor in it. The cranberries kind of have that tart flavor, and then there's a little bit of sweetness from the sugar, and then the flavor of the nuts and the orange. So it's just really, it's very interesting and delicious bread, and I think it's perfect for the holiday season. So I would like for y'all to give it a try and tell me what you think. I was really pleased with the way it turned out. I love it, and so I hope that you will all love it also. Be sure and look in the description below for the recipe so that you can make this cranberry walnut bread yourself. This is so good. You've got to try it. Thank you for joining me today. I hope that you really liked this recipe and that this video was helpful to you. If you try the bread recipe, let me know in the comments what you think about it. And also, since we're really close to the end of the year here, I'd like for you to tell me what things would you like to see more of in the new year, because I am working on planning content, and so it would be very helpful to me if you tell me what things you want to see from me. So thanks so much for that. Again, thank you for supporting my channel this year. I really appreciate all of you who watch my videos, and I hope to see you all back here again soon.